come across lovely Mark Devlin today, and Mark, wanted to have you on the show for a long time. A lot of people have requested you on the show. Thank you so much. We're going to do an actual show together at some point, but meanwhile I just want to find out a little bit as a sort of prelude, I suppose, to what you're doing, what you're about. Now, let me just say, I know you've not said a word yet, I know very little about pop music, popular music. My music would be, say, film music, music that you put in as incidental music. I'm a bit quirky like that. So if you mention any bands or types of music, I won't know anything about it. But I'm more interested in the way that music is being manipulated on modern audiences.
Sure. Well, this is what I've studied for the past 15 years now. It's become my life. It's taken over.
Like it does, doesn't it?
Exactly. But I came to realise very early on that popular music, and many other forms of music as well, are used as methods of mass mind control and social engineering. And when you think about it, everybody likes music of some kind. You just said it yourself there.
Yeah.
You know, you're into your
quirky
stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
Everyone likes something. I used to like rap and hip hop and dance music, and you'll speak to somebody else likes rock music, heavy metal, country and western, whatever it is. So it's the ideal tool to get inside the minds and the hearts and the souls of millions of people. So the entire industry has been weaponized. Every genre has been got. Every scene has its own inserted gatekeepers and those on a mission fulfilling agendas. And it's my unfortunate duty to have to report this. I wish it was some other way.
What's interesting is that it is, I suppose, one of those areas that you think is the last place because of the free thinking of people. Musicians generally tend to be very much their own people. They've got their own ideas.
So we're led to believe.
Right, well, tell me about that.
Well, I think the real acid test has been the last 3.5 years with everything we've all been through.
Yeah.
So we have needed the voices of musicians and creative artistic types more since early 2020 than ever before in human history. And what have we got from them? For the most part, silence, and when they have spoken up, complete and utter obedience and conformity.
Which is very strange. But I mean, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the thing that I'm often considering is when you and I were young, we were rebels. Now, we're still rebels, but the young people aren't. And is that because the music used to guide us? Certainly guided my sister. I mean, I was listening to all sorts of very strange stuff, you know, Burt Comfort and the Carpenters and things like that, because that's what my parents were listening to. But my sister, who was into modern music and all of that, she would be guided that back in the 70s. But young people they are listening to what's coming out. So if the musicians are not, if musicians are not sort of saying, hey, look about you, what's happening to the world, then they're just conforming. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, things have definitely changed. Those who we thought were the rebels and the anarchist sort of spokespeople for our generation have disappointed, haven't they? Because we've not had any of them speak up in recent times.
Right.
But in terms of the agendas that are getting pushed, it's incredible because with each new generation, they just keep pushing it further and further and further. So I was just having a conversation in there with a young lady who's 13. And she's very awake, paying attention to modern pop music and all its agendas, and she can see it, but unfortunately most of her peers, her age group, can't. And she was talking about this song called Eat Your Young, where you've got the artist, if you can refer to him as that, talking about cannibalism, talking about eating babies. So I've often quipped in my work that they'll keep on taking things further and further and further and pushing it until they start talking about, you know, literal cannibalism. Now they're bloody doing it.
And is it, I mean, why are people not questioning it? Well, I mean, that's the thing. Julia often plays me, she's holding the camera, Julia often plays me some music that she's found, and I'll either complain I can't hear the lyrics because they're not loud enough, or what the hell does that mean? Because I'm not really into poems and things like that, but I just like to understand what something means. Now, if somebody says, or if they're singing Eat Your Young, and you just go, well, it's a poppy tune, I don't really care about the lyrics, you just think, hang on a minute, that's a bit weird, isn't it?
Well, kids do, you know, they just accept it. I was making the point that when Eminem first came out, late 90s.
Yeah.
I remember it well.
I remember my kids are into it.
Yeah, when Eminem first emerged, people were shocked because he was talking about murder, he was talking about cutting his baby mother's throat and taking his daughter out to dump the body in a lake and stuff like this. And rightfully, people were like, oh my God, this is outrageous.
Right.
But what that was doing was laying the foundations for what was known to be coming, where they were going to take it even further and further and further to the point of this stuff now. So when you first hear Eminem, it's shocking.
Yes.
But once you've heard him a few times, you're like, oh, Eminem, what is he like? Always talking about murder and mayhem and stuff like that. And you get used to it. It's normalised.
So Eminem is doing that. Why? Is he controlled to do that? Is he being brought up the chain?
Yeah.
Is that what's happening in the industry?
That's what it would be, yeah. There are two main ways into the music industry. You're either born into one of the correct bloodline families.
Right.
So that's your destiny. It's mapped out for you before you're born. It's decided. You're going to be a rock star. You're going to be a Hollywood actor. You're going to be a television presenter, whatever it is. That's your allotted role. And your job is to push agendas through becoming famous and prominent.
Right.
Then there's a facility for those who aren't born into those families, but they've shown themselves to be so hungry for the fame and the fortune and the wealth that they're prepared to do whatever it takes to get there. Right. And if they give these people an agenda and say you're pushing drugs, murder, cannibalism, whatever it is, there are people that are prepared to do that. They want the fame that badly.
Yeah.
And they're so devoid of morals.
Feeding into their ego and presumably greed, money and all of that.
Yeah.
So they've just been bought. So kids out there now, not that many kids will be watching this unfortunately, but those people who are striving to be musicians and doing all that, really you're saying that to get to that level where you're actually influencing people, there's no hope.
I'm saying that. It's a blanket statement. When you get to that level, when you've become a household name and everyone's heard of you, you are pushing agendas. Your soul is no longer your own. So best advice for any musicians is, by all means, try and make it big. By all means, take it as far as you feel you can. But when you get called in to that meeting and you get invited to move a few rungs up the ladder of success, and it's spelt out to you what you need to do and you're invited to sign a contract, the best thing you can do is say, do you know what, I'm all right, thanks, and walk out the door. Because my comprehension is that they will let you do that at that stage. Right. If they make you the offer and you say it's not for me, I don't consent, they'll let you walk out. But once you've signed that contract, then it's too late. So never sign the contract.
We are going to do a much more in-depth conversation coming up on the channel in due course. But
sure.
Mark, where can people find out more about you and your work and where you're being as outspoken as you clearly need to be? Sure.
So my main website is djmarkdevlin.com, and that's a sort of hub website. It's got links through to my video channels. I'm on BitChute, Odyssey and Rumble. Been kicked off of YouTube 3 times. So that's,
I'm only holding on that by my fingernails.
That's still to come.
Yeah.
And I'm on Spreaker. My audio content is on Spreaker. But I would say head to djmarkdevlin.com. There's links to my books there as well, and all my upcoming events.
Yeah, Mark, thank you so much.
No worries,
we will
mate.
do a proper in-depth look at the industry and what people can do about to
Indeed. And that wasn't a Masonic handshake.
Was it not?
That was a regular,
can we do a Masonic one?
Regular handshake.
Oh, is it both? Oh yeah, there we are.
I don't even know. I don't know
how this works. That's supposed to complete the circle or something.
Oh, okay.
It's whatever.
Cool.
I don't. Yeah.